Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Mean Show. Today we have a very special guest. I have Brigette here from Southern California. And I met Brigette on Instagram, and we discovered each other through the sort of Silver Sisters network. And we started talking about makeup for older women. And I invited her onto the podcast, and we're actually going to do a really fun tutorial. We're doing Smoky Eye, right?
Yes, a very quick and easy one.
Yeah, I'm so excited. So, Brigitte, I would love for you to just introduce yourself, let listeners know who you are, your background, how you became interested in makeup, and in particular for makeup for middle aged to older women.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me. So I started doing makeup as kind of like a second career. So like you and I have kind of chatted about this, but so I used to work in more like a clinical setting. I was a dietitian and like worked in various hospitals. And then once I stopped working and had children and decided to go back to work, I wanted to do something more creative. So I got my aesthetics license in like 2013, and I just started seeing clients for skincare, and it kind of morphed into makeup artistry at some point, and just been doing that for about 8 years now. So as it's been a second career, like I started this kind of late in the game as far as my age. So I realized like a lot of clients that are drawn to me are women over 40, even over 50, 60. Excuse me. So and then also like I do a lot of weddings where you'll have the mother of the bride, the mother of the groom, the grandmother, the aunt, and so I've had that opportunity to work with all ages, and I've realized like there's really is like a need for a little more focus on women of a certain age and what do we need and want as makeup, and like what's fun for us and what looks good on us and what makes us more confident.
Yeah, I feel like it's so important because there are so many makeup tutorials out there for young women, and they're doing all these things, and then you try them and it's like that is not working for me. It's a very different beast once you try to do it with, lines and drier skin and things like that. So I'm grateful that makeup artists like yourself are focusing on women, 45 plus.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. So what do you I guess what I mean to say is sort of like one of the sort of problems that women run into. Like for me, I tend to just give up. Like I'm just going to hardly wear any makeup because everything I try, I don't like it the way it looks on my face. So I just sort of like hardly wear any.
Right, and there's something to say about like less is more, um, and I think um, one thing that stumps us is the change in our skin. So with my aesthetics background, I kind of focus more on that because your makeup's only going to look as good as your skin. So if you're very dehydrated, that's only going to make the makeup look not so great, right? So having a good skincare routine and keeping healthy skin, and keeping that hydration in the skin is probably the biggest challenge. Depending on where you live too and what your climate is. I know with you it's probably cold more days than it's warm, so you may have like the heater running and things like that, and so yeah, focusing in on getting that good base, like literal the base of your makeup is your skin. So that's what I like to kind of you know um, gear my whole like makeup look around the skin. Does that make sense?
Right. So if you start off with a healthy, hydrated base, you can build from there. Yeah, because if your skin is dry, the makeup just kind of does not go on smoothly. It kind of like gets sucked into the places that are drier, and yeah, so and it's a
Exactly.
challenge because also with the hormones that are happening with women around 50 years old is that, like, you are also getting mixed, like, combination skin. Like, I get breakouts sometimes, and I'm like, "I am 53 years old, almost 54. Why am I breaking out?" It's so weird, but like, it's everything's fluctuating, right?
Right. So it's like the wrinkles and the acne at the same time.
Yeah, so fun.
Yeah. Um, yeah, and another part of it too is like you may notice like you start to maybe like lose eyelashes and eyebrows. Um, so you kind of fade away those features of your face, like your eyes may not stand out as much on their own anymore. So just having that little bit of definition in the eyelashes and the eyebrows can kind of bring back that that youthful appearance to kind of bring out those features.
Yeah, or at least just to be able to see your, like, to, like, show your eyes. Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, I hardly bothered with mascara when I was younger. Like, I was lucky I had thick eyelashes, but now I rarely leave that's one of the things that I rarely leave the house without. And also I'm wondering if you've run into a lot of women, because if you're around our age, you've lived through the 90s when people plucked their eyebrows into submission, like, to these tiny pencil brows. And I never did that, thank God. Like, and even though I never did that, I still mine are getting very thin and sparse. But do you see a lot of the results of that kind of plucking when you're doing women's makeup?
Yeah, I do run across clients who experience that, but I'm the same as you. I was never someone who tweezed eyebrows, and I just never had them, and I still don't. And so, um, I for me, like if they're not really a great feature on my face, I try not to bring attention to that part of my face, you know. So for like many years, I wore bangs that kind of like brushed across my eyebrows. So that kind of just,
Oh,
then I didn't have to pay attention to it. Now that I'm kind of growing it back out, I'm like, oh, now people are going to see it. But everyone's different, and maybe my best feature is not my eyebrows, and that's okay. I know it's like really in style right now to have like a nice big fluffy eyebrow, but I just don't have it, and I kind of would rather just embrace what I don't have, and rather than try to draw on a complete eyebrow every day. That's not something I'm willing to do. So we
I
don't
love
have to meet
that.
like every single beauty standard.
I love that so much, like, absolutely, and that sort of makes me think of I should have asked you, and maybe this dovetails with what you just said, but do you have, like, a sort of philosophy when it comes to makeup in general, whether it's younger or older women?
I mean, I just like what you hear all the time is just do what makes you feel good. If you're confident, that's gonna be your number one accessory right there is your confidence. So if putting on a ton of makeup makes you feel good, then that's that. And if putting on none makes you feel good, then so be it. So it's really what works for you.
Yeah, there are so many, and I admit, like, I get so immersed in watching these makeup videos where women are completely transforming their faces. It's, like, just fascinating to watch as entertainment, but I am not going to take the time to do that to my face,
Right.
and I just wonder, sometimes I wonder what the psychological effect is if, like, looking at that all the time, and then I look in the mirror and I'm like, "Oh, I'm like a normal." I don't know. Hopefully it's not affecting me negatively because I know the difference between reality and fantasy, but, it's interesting, like, how much is out there that is just like, and the filters and everything is, like, sending us messages that we should look different and we should transform our faces. So I really love your approach that it's like, we don't have to meet those sort of ideals that media is sending out to us.
Exactly. and you can't walk around with a filter on your face all the time anyway. So it's definitely not realistic beyond
Maybe someday we'll
social
be walking
media. So
around with holograms shining on our faces.
little sparklies everywhere. Um, no, so when I do a makeup, I I'm not necessarily only doing it for someone's photos because a lot of times they're going to an event and they're going to be like right face to face with people. So I want them to look their best when they're sitting right in front of me and not only when they're behind a camera or in front of a camera. So yeah, it has to go into real life as well. So if you have the thickest foundation on, yeah, it'll look great in a photo because the photo's flat and it can be touched up and such. But in person, if you had that much makeup on, it may not translate as well. You know, just looking at somebody right in front of you. So there's that gray area there where I know that they want to look good in their photos, but they definitely want to look good in front of their friends and such. So
Yeah, definitely. And I'm sure most people don't wanna like, especially if they're at their own wedding or their daughter's wedding or whatever, you don't wanna feel like your face is, like, covered in because 'cause you're gonna be, like, dancing and, like, sweating and, like,
yeah,
whatever. You don't wanna feel like you're gonna melt if you perspire a little bit, right?
right, right. And with weddings, so with your significant other, hugs, kisses, and all that. Like you don't want your makeup transferring onto that person, so that
Yeah,
wouldn't be good.
that's a lot to think about for you to, like, make sure all these boxes are being checked so your client is comfortable and looks good in the picture. Because at a wedding, there's pictures and real life to look good for, so that's a lot, I would
Yeah,
imagine.
definitely.
Okay, so let's see, should we go on to the tutorial? I'm so excited.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I went to CVS and I bought these 2, eye pencil, like, crayons 'cause,
Okay.
Brigette said to have handy, a dark-ish eye pencil or eye crayon. So I have this, um, this is black.
Okay.
It's a jumbo pencil, and then this one is sort of it's sort of like a brownish, it's the same thing, but it's like I think it has a little shimmer to it,
Yeah,
and it's a
nice.
browner.
That's kind of similar to
I
what
was
I'll be
thinking
using.
Oh, okay, I was thinking probably this one because I don't think we wanted to go, like, pure, like, rock and roll Joan Jett style
That
smoky
would be cool.
although that would be so cool, but but, um but I'm so excited because a smoky eye is one of those things that I have never ever been able to figure out. Like, I've tried it, and then I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I have to wash my face, it looks terrible." So
Yeah, and there's so many, people have different ideas of what it is, a smoky eye. Traditionally, or the classic smoky eye is when you have the darkest color at the eye, at the lash line at the bottom, and it kind of graduates up to a lighter shade. So it's like there's no distinct line where the color changes. It smokes out, like it goes from dark to light, going on its way up. And some people will use the same term for if you start the lightest color in the inner corner and work this way out and have a dark color at the outer corner of your eye. Um, or some people just refer to smoky as anything that's blended, which pretty much you always want to have a blended, unless you're doing that cut crease look, but we're not going anywhere near there. um,
Yeah, okay.
so I thought, also most people don't want to take the time to use, multiple products and different colors and so this is something you can do in literally 5 minutes. So these and the powder eyeshadows are usually a little more intimidating on like where to place them and how to blend them out correctly. So anything that's creamy, so like the pencils that you were showing, I have some of those here, but there's also like liquid type eyeshadows that are like this that come with a little um, like
Oh,
like doe foot. Yeah, so this you could either like apply directly with the applicator, or you could even put, take a makeup brush and transfer it onto there and use it that way. And then the same thing for something like this that comes in a little pot. These can be easily applied with your fingers or a brush. And you only need one color if that's all you have time for. And it might be a matte color, it might be a shimmer, or maybe you want to like layer them. Um, but it's easy because it's just one product. It blends in really quickly, and you're good to go. So I'm going to use a pencil type or crayon similar to yours. It's like this. It's like a dark
okay.
brown, kind of shimmery too. This is like a really cheap one from Amazon, to be honest. And
Okay.
then I have
Mine,
this
let's see.
other one here. It's like an olive color. I don't know if anyone
Oh,
can see it.
cool.
And this is a Sephora one. Um, and you could do this in any color. You could there. I even have this kind that's like just like a really light shimmery color. Maybe you can see that. Um, so something like if you want to just keep it really light, you could do something like that. But yeah, we're going for a little more like medium to darker look today. But this could still be worn like casually because it's not a super structured look. And if you keep the rest of your makeup kind of neutral, you can wear it to the grocery store or whatever, to work or whatever you want. And like all these products, they all have a different consistency. Some are more dry and some are more creamy. So if you have very oily skin and your eyelids are also quite oily, you want to find something that's maybe a little more dry, or use a primer first. So that way it doesn't like just end up creasing all day and getting all smeary.
Yeah. I would imagine that takes some experimentation to know, like, what is gonna work on your own eyes.
If you go somewhere where you can sample things like at Sephora, Ulta, whatever, you could take the product on your hand and just kind of feel out that consistency. It's nice if they're kind of creamy because they blend easier. But if after like a minute it doesn't like dry down at all into something a little more stable, then make sure that you're not somebody with oily skin that's gonna just never set. If that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that makes sense because yeah, that's a balance to find, I would imagine, because I love the, do you know the brand Wander? They're like a
um,
big Instagram thing they totally fed me all these ads, and I'm such a sucker, I bought I bought the crayon but that I actually really loved it. I just didn't really know how to properly use it, but it's very soft. So, I mean, hence, I think it was pretty easy for my daughter to just, like, smash it. And that also meant that it ran out pretty quick because it just, like, came off very easily. So I don't know, it'll be interesting to see how this one goes.
but when you apply the crayon, it doesn't have to go on super perfect. And if it is too perfect, it's going your line is not going to blend as easily anyway. So you're basically going to color in um, the lower everything that's underneath your crease. So kind of like a half moon shape from the inner corner to the outer corner, and not going into your crease, if that makes sense.
Okay,
So I'll do mine over here. I don't know if anyone can see this. Okay. So yeah, just start at the lash line, go to the
okay.
corner, and then create that half moon but don't go into the crease.
You
Yeah,
probably can't see
try
very
to
well, but
stay um, within the crease, like before you get to the crease.
okay.
And if you kind of scuff up or something, you could take your finger and kind of just smear that off if it's in the wrong, if it's way out of line.
Okay.
Did you bring a little like fluffy blending brush?
Yes,
Okay.
I did.
So I'm
Um,
using something like this. It doesn't have to be like an exact type of brush, just something that's not too firm and not too small. Um, yeah, that looks good. So then you can take this and just blend that upper edge of where you stopped coloring. And you can go like a teeny bit into the crease, but just make it so that there's no way of seeing like where like it just kind of gradually fades out.
so is it important for the makeup to go all the way down to your lash line? Like I'm seeing a little bit of a like a white space right above my eyelashes, so I'm feeling like
If you can get the pencil to kind of go like push it right into your lashes,
yeah.
like in little dots, so
Uh-huh.
that you
Yeah.
get all those spaces. And if you can't reach it that way, then you could go from the other direction, which is a little trickier and might tickle a bit.
Huh. I think that worked. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, so if you wanted to, you could kind of lift your eyelash like this, which is kind of weird,
Mhm.
and then just take either the same crayon or an eyeliner and just color that skin that's right there under the lashes.
Yeah, I think it looks okay though. Like I'm not seeing that white line anymore.
Okay,
Okay.
great. So then we'll go ahead and just do the same on the other side so we don't have to look weird all day with one eye done. Is yours gliding on pretty easily?
It is. Yeah, I really like it so far actually.
Cool.
So now we just do the blending?
Yep. So just get that brush in the crease and kind of smudge it out so you don't see any lines.
So this is easy and it like already looks pretty decent.
Right? It's like a quick way to just get like that makeup look so that you could go out and do something without spending all evening in the mirror.
That is pretty cool.
Okay.
Okay, so now what?
Okay, so I'm going to take the same pencil and go like kind of wrap that around to the under eye so that it just
Okay.
kind of all goes together. So I like to start at the outer corner and just make sure I kind of match it up with the top so there's no space there. And then just use it like as an eyeliner.
That's seriously so easy.
Yep.
Yeah. And you can kind of like touch it up as you go and stuff, right?
Yeah, it's
Like
easy to kind of work with it. Um, so if you mess up, yeah, it's not a big deal. And if you want to blend the bottom one, you probably want a smaller brush. Like I'm using one like this. If you don't have it, you could use a Q-tip or even your finger would work. But then I just kind of softly make sure that that looks kind of blended and, again, like no lines really, just soft.
okay.
Okay. And then if you want to, like if you want to be a little more dramatic, you could again use the same thing or get a different eyeliner or something and go in the water line on the bottom. So how I showed you the top one, You could also cover up that skin on the bottom and just roll it right over that waterline.
Oh my gosh. Okay, I feel like I need a little bit more over here.
Yeah, try to keep in mind like the shape you're making on your eye too. You don't want one that goes out all like pointy cat eye and one that's round. You gotta have some symmetry.
Right. Right. Okay. All right.
Okay. Now moving on to eyelashes, do you usually curl your lashes?
I don't, but I did bring my lash curler for you. Yeah, so I'm willing to try it.
Okay.
I have done it in the past, but
Yeah, this step is like really helpful to bring the eyelashes up and give more of a lift to your eye, so that you can actually see the eyelashes. Because if they're more like coming out straight, some people's even grow going downward. You're not going to see them as much. So um, always do this before you put mascara on, because once you have the mascara and your eyelashes are kind of sticky, they'll tend to stick to your curler. So I like to do it before. Give a couple
you kinda,
squeezes.
like, pump it a little bit?
Yeah, I do like a few pumps and then just kind of hold it for a few seconds.
Now, does it matter, like, where on your eyelash that you're grabbing? Like, should it be, like, right in the middle or closer to
Um,
your
some people like to do it kind of like, two or three different spots. I'm not as
Oh,
particular, but because if sometimes if you just do it in one spot, you might end up with more like a bend in your lash instead of like a curl. So you want to get like the base and then the tips so that it kind of curls instead of just. But I kind of just go for it. I'm not too particular.
as long as they're sort of getting a little lift.
Yeah. Okay, and then you can go in with your mascara.
Okay. Now, do you have a favorite mascara?
Yes. So this one is by Clinique.
Oh,
I don't know if you can see
that's
it.
sort of an old school brand. That was, like, my mom's favorite brand.
Yeah, it's the only product I use of Clinique, but this is called a tubing mascara.
Yeah,
Um,
I wrote an article about tubing mascaras.
okay,
Cool,
and
okay.
not all of the Clinique ones are. This one is called the Lash Power long wearing formula. It has a very small brush. So if you're looking for like a ton of volume, this may not be what you want because those usually have a big brush. But this one, it gets in there and defines and gets all the little tiny lashes. Um, and the tubing part of it means that, because for me, like if I even use waterproof, I still have the mascara smearing down my eyes after even like 30 minutes, because I tend to have a little bit more oily skin around my eyes, so the waterproof doesn't work well for me. um, so this one, the tubing kind of coats the lashes and then it just stays.
Yeah, I really like it's a new thing to me. I didn't know about it before,
Right.
but I really, really like it now. I'm a convert.
And I like how when you wash it off, it doesn't smear off because there's no oils in it. It kind of makes little like flakes.
Yeah, like,
Um,
it comes off in teeny, tiny pieces,
yeah,
right?
so it doesn't leave that residue on your eyes.
Yeah, and it doesn't make a big raccoon eye situation that you have to
Exactly.
also deal with. And are we doing bottom lashes too?
Yeah.
Okay. This one is supposed to be a tubing mascara. It's a new I think it's a new-ish brand called Cali Ray. Have you ever heard of it?
That sounds familiar.
It has a pretty pretty packaging.
Uh-huh.
Um, but honestly, I think I had the Wander Beauty tubing mascara, and I think I like that one better, and I don't know if it might be because of the applicator, but, I like the way it goes on a little bit better, but I like this one too. Okay.
Well, there you
Okay.
go. So that's
Is
like a
that it? That was
really
so
quick,
easy. And I, have makeup on. It's so
right?
exciting. Yeah. That is super easy
Yep.
because, you think about blending eyeshadow and you think that you have to apply it in all these different places.
Mhm.
But really we just applied it in the one place and then kind of brushed it out and it works so well to make it look like kind of like that gradient that you want rather than chunks of color or whatever.
Sure. And what's nice about it is pretty much any eye shape can do this. And
Okay.
as we get older, we start to have more droopy eyelids. So if somebody has a very hooded eyelid that kind of just covers, they have a hard time putting on eyeshadow that they can actually see when their eyes are open. So
Mhm.
it's always a good idea to kind of place it while you're looking straight ahead into the mirror. So that way, you know that if you
Okay.
can see it when your eyes are open and looking straight, then it's going to show, right? Because you don't want to do all this
Yeah,
work if your eye makeup only shows when you close your eyes. so,
that is a really good point. So you can sort of keep working it with the brush and keep
right.
checking to make sure you can see it. Okay.
Yeah. So if the lids are particularly hooded, you may need to take that color up a little higher so it's above the crease line so that you can still see that nice definition there.
I get so much anxiety when I see people using, so many brushes because I'm like, "Then you have to wash it," right? I mean,
Yeah.
so how often do you or should we wash brushes? Does it have to be, every time you use it? Or it seems like maybe it okay.
No. Um let's say you do your makeup every day, then probably once a week would be good. And
Okay.
you don't need anything special. You could use just any gentle soap or shampoo. Um, I mean, soaps because they could have like that residue, but since they're made of hair, the shampoo, the gentle shampoo should be fine. You can get like a brush cleaner that comes in like a little pot. It's like a solid, and you just wet your brush and twirl it in there and then rinse it off. That's what I use for my professional brushes. Um, and then if you want to like take it a step further, you could sanitize with like something alcohol based after that. Um, but my routine for my kit is usually I'll wash them with the brush soap, rinse them off, and then let them air dry overnight. And then the next day I spray them with alcohol, then let that dry overnight, and then they're good to go. Yeah. Because those cleansers take out all that stuff.
When you're doing other people, obviously you have to
Then I do it every time.
sanitize
Yes.
it every time, but, just for your own use, you don't have to be doing that unless you're using, super different colors, I would imagine, you obviously can't use a light shade after you've used a dark one.
Right. If you're using like a powder eyeshadows, that can easily be like wiped off on a paper towel or something if you're going to change colors. But things like what we use today, if you have a lot of it on the brush and it's a very like creamy, heavy product, yeah, you're going to need something to kind of clean it off. And they also have a spray cleansing for your brushes too. You could pick that up like at Target or whatever, and you can just spray the brush and wipe it on the paper towel. It's better than nothing.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you. Well, Brigitte, thank you so much for joining us today and for showing us that really simple smoky eye. That was really awesome. And I'm definitely gonna use it.
Yeah, I'm glad. I'm glad you liked it. Thanks for having me.